Yes, Cinder, a remix of Dark Souls 3 by Rotaka. Folks, you know what that song means.
I mean, after 92 rounds, if you don't know, you're either new or you just haven't caught on yet.
That's right. That's why I inflected that as a statement rather than the typical question from the previous
Right?
91 rounds.
Right?
Oh
Exactly.
my god, is this
Or,
round
or
92 already? Holy crap.
yeah. Uh-huh. It's a
We,
deck of cards plus 40.
uh, yes. Yes, it is. Or it's two decks of cards minus a dozen. You know,
Oh.
this is how math works sometimes. Numbers and such. Well, welcome everybody. I'm MrBond.
And I'm Tormod, I think.
Welcome to Insert Credits. This is our monthly Vidgegame podcast / multimedia experience. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for
it,
hanging out with us
it
again
will be a
this month.
very experiential time.
Oh God, even
Yeah.
calling it an experience just it doesn't feel great.
It's the insert credits
Oh
experience.
no. Oh, what have I
We're a
done?
ride at Universal now or something. I don't know, man.
I already regret
Ugh, I don't want to be a
conveying it
ride.
that way.
Anyway, hi.
Hello, everybody. On this here podcast, we talk about video game news, and then we play some music, and then we talk about what we've been playing since last month, and then we play some more music, and then we do some genuine ad hoc design at the end, which is
Yes.
always a lot of fun.
Yeah, the last 4 or 5 rounds that we've done the Baroque Creations thing is actually ad hoc design. Actually. So
Actually,
we started not lying around, I don't know, around 87 or 88. So there you
something
go.
like that. When I eventually get around to post-processing the remainder of the show notes, I'll know for sure. But the good
Well, there
news
you go.
is I'm past 2020 now, so
Hey.
well, after tonight, it'll only be 7 episodes behind, or 7 rounds behind, rather, instead of 12.
So you're officially out of 2020 now. Like you've earned it.
Correct. Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's what was holding us back this entire time. I apologize, everybody. It was my fault for maintaining the 2020 there.
Oh well.
So it goes. Housekeeping. So we've got our next couple shows already booked for August. We naturally have the 13th, because Friday
Of
the
course.
13th and all, for round 93.
Mm-hmm.
September looks like the 17th.
Yep. Which will also be Boris's birthday, apparently.
It will. I think I
Yeah.
have that on my other calendar, which is why it's not showing up here. But I will take your word for it.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll just have to do something special, maybe.
Happy 2 months and 1 day until your birthday, Boris.
Haha.
And then for around 95, that would be October. It looks like we are dead center in the middle of the month at 15. Looks pretty open to me. What say you?
I hmm.
No?
I need to
Uh-oh.
check a date real quick.
Okay, check that date.
Um,
Throw out
let's
milk
go on
before it goes
Southwest
bad.
website. Yeah, when am I flying? I don't remember anymore. All right, survey says.
I mean, otherwise, either the weeks before or after are
Oh,
probably
that's fine.
fine as well. I mean,
No, I think it'll be okay. Looks like I return on Monday the 11th, so that should be cool. Yeah, let's do the 15th.
okay, what did I say? Around 95?
The
2,
number.
93, 94, 95. Yeah, that's 301. All
Yes.
right, very good. I did
Math is
just
hard.
double check math.
Okay.
They say you should never do math on stream or whatever, and this
Eh.
technically is a stream as well. So, wisdom.
Yeah, werewolf marathon conflict. Right.
Uh
Okay, just to get that out of the way real quick,
huh.
because otherwise I'm gonna forget.
Uh huh.
So a couple nights ago, we were bored trying to figure out what the hell we were gonna do before we went to bed, and of course it was nothing because we couldn't decide. But
Okay.
on top of nothing, we ended up browsing Steam tags, and it was like the list of tags that Steam thought Vlad would like.
Mm hmm.
And somehow, like 3/4 of the way down the list, werewolves was there, and we were like, "You're busted," but okay. So we clicked it, and we went through the games list, and oh god, is there some awful shit in there.
I
I mean,
mean,
outside of the porn, because apparently porn games are a thing on Steam now.
I,
Somehow I avoided that.
they kind of always have been, I think. It's just a
Oh
matter of
god.
discovering them if you want to discover them, of course.
I don't. But anyway, we discovered a lot of things that were porn, but also not porn. And how did I even word this thing? Oh yeah, it was on Twitter. That's why I can't find it. I didn't put it in my own Discord yet. How in the hell did I word this dumb thing? It wasn't
Is
that long
is
ago.
this a roundabout explanation of the round title? Because I don't even think we said the round
No,
title. This
it's
is
not.
round
It's
92. Birds aren't real, but okay, proceed though.
That's just objective truth.
I
So that's all I got.
Oh, okay, sure. I've seen plenty of birds around. They are loud ass MFers too, so I'm inclined to disagree and say that they are very much real.
They're all hostile actors.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's true. That is also true.
Including that. Oh, well, okay, fine. I can tie something real life into this stream title.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we've had this cardinal that's been kind of annoying the fuck out of us for the last 3 or 4 months. So basically, what
Okay.
happened the first morning, or the morning of Vlad's first motocross event, autocross, sorry. I was getting ready because he had left earlier because he had to get there and do registration and stuff. So I was
Right, right,
getting
right.
ready and I was making breakfast and stuff, and I just hear boom. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I look and there's nothing there. And a
I
couple
see.
minutes later, boom. And I'm like, the fuck? And I noticed this cardinal like hit the window so hard that it kind of knocked itself out
Oof.
and it was just laying on our deck. But then it got up and tried to do it again. And then it failed and it just kept pecking at the glass. And I was like, what? You're weird.
Get out of
And
here. You're
eventually it
not
went
real.
away. So a couple weeks later, it happened
Oh
again.
my
And
god.
then it became a daily thing. And now we have this idiot cardinal that's trying to get into our house. And I have no idea why. Because it tries all of the other windows now, too, on the first floor. In the back of the house, at least.
So did you put up a scare cardinal or something?
No. I kind of inquired as to like what things I could do, and it was like putting foil on the inside of your windows and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm using my windows as windows. So no.
Okay, interesting.
So now it doesn't do it as hard. Instead, it just like looks in through the patio door and it just kind of like stares at me as it packs. And I'm like, I don't know what you want other than to murder me or something. You're clearly an NSA spy drone.
Does it maintain eye contact with you as it pecks at the glass?
Yes, it's weird. It's
Oh
like
dear.
I'm glad that you don't follow me into the bathroom and stuff because that's weird. Go away. So yeah, there you go. Birds aren't real.
Okay.
Did it.
Good tie-in. Great tie-in. 10 out of 10.
So okay, about the werewolf thing that Took mentioned. Finally, all right. So I'm just gonna say the tweet verbatim. So Vlad and I were bored last night before bed and started looking through Steam game tags and stumbled upon werewolves. And a lot of the games are utter garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're planning to do a Halloween season series of very bad werewolf games together on Steam, which at
Mm.
this point it's just going to be called Very Bad Werewolf Games. So
Okay,
that's
exactly as it
happening.
says on the tin. Very good.
Yeah, so given Vlad's work schedule that we anticipate is going to be a thing, it's going to have to be like a weekends thing. So we don't have a whole lot of open weekends, actually, because of various weddings and things that are going on, but we will play very bad werewolf games and we'll make sure it happens. Hopefully on weekends. It might be at like 3 in the morning sometimes, but whatever. Yeah. Very bad werewolf games. There you go. Before I forgot. Yeah, we're done. We can actually go on with the rest of the stuff.
All right, very good. Well, I'm going to classify that as housekeeping.
Good.
So then we can move on to Around the World, the news segment of the show, and we can talk about things ranging from depressing to hopefully not so depressing. First, maybe some middling depressing stuff because acquisitions and such usually don't turn out well.
Mm,
Sony has bought Housemarque, the game dev studio that has done some fairly popular twin stick games. Most recently, they've done an incredibly popular game named Returnal, which was a PS4 to 5 exclusive, I believe.
hmm.
So we'll see how they do under Sony. Housemarque has been pretty vocal in the past, saying that twin stick arcade style games are quote unquote dead, by which they meant they're not really profitable, and they're correct for the most part. But as twin stick games are some of my favorites, I will disagree based on principle rather than
I figured that's
practicality.
why you brought this in as a news item.
Yes, I mean, well, the acquisitions and such are are kind of relevant here, especially when it involves a game dev company.
Of course.
So we'll see what happens with Housemarque. Like I've got no particular fondness for them. I've played a few of their games; they're pretty decent. I would love to play Returnal, but it's PS exclusive, so I'm not gonna go out and buy a PlayStation just to play it. Sorry, that's not how that works. But we'll see what
Wait till
happens.
the emulator.
And I could do that. I wouldn't recommend it, of course. We never recommend emulators around these parts.
No, never. Definitely not with that new thing that's coming out in this year sometime.
Maybe. We'll see. We might, in fact, cover that later, won't we? Oh, boy. All right. Slightly more depressing then. A couple of months ago, probably 3, 4 by this point, Humble Bundle trialed out a new restriction on their little slider dilemma bops to control how much goes to the dev, how much goes to the publisher, how much goes to charity, how much goes to Humble Bundle themselves. Well, now that previous trial was met with a pretty strong outcry since they were in effect limiting how much you could give to charity. And Humble Bundle being what it was at the time, well, way back at the time, like 2010 or so when it was first founded, was real big on, hey, we'll give to charity and get some cool games and whatever. So this last trial in the past few months is like, well, hey, you're limiting how much we can give to charity. Are you kidding me? Like that flies in the face of what you started for, right? So now they've made that essentially permanent, in a roundabout sense, because now you can still decide how much you give to charity, but they are requiring a minimum of 15 to 30%, depending, going to Humble Bundle itself. So,
it's the service charge.
Yeah, kind of, which doesn't feel great, considering who owns them now. And it's not like they really need the money to keep the service going like that. It's not this small, scrappy startup-ish thing trying to make this service a dillabop. So, 15 to 30% minimum going to keep the service alive feels not great. Now, if I'm allowed to express a personal opinion, and I am because this is partly my show, Humble Bundle has gone downhill for a long time. So, I don't really feel like giving them any more of my money. Sorry. You done fucked up. See ya. There are plenty of other places to get money, like anything on itch, or GOG, or even Steam to some extent. So, well, Humble Bundle's out of the rotation now. Womp. Too bad. So sad.
I would say nothing of value was lost, but I mean, like, it started out really awesome.
There was quite a lot of value to it. Yeah.
And then people were like, lots of people are buying these bundles. Let's get greedy. Like, corruption.
Let's monetize even further, right? So, well, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So it goes. Okay, so depending on your perspective, maybe even slightly more depressing, this next topic, Call of Duty League is going to be returning to live events. That doesn't really seem like a great idea, considering the current state of the world. Pandemic. Now, granted, vaccination is on the rise, which is good. But
so are cases.
Yeah, which is not good. So if you consider the whole history of, nerds, close spaces, lack of hygiene, this doesn't feel like a great idea. Loss of money aside for all these esports events and arenas, and things are better when it's live and all that sort of thing. So this feels like not a good idea. Granted, I probably wouldn't watch it myself, live or otherwise, so no horse in this race, but we'll see how it goes, I suppose. Speaking of esports, though, the United States Department of Justice is investigating the Overwatch League, particularly looking at collusion and corruption surrounding salary caps.
What?
I know, right? Esports, you're growing up into more legal controversies. Hooray! Oh, wow. This is... I don't even know what to think about this, honestly. Like, I'm not big into esports myself, but I'm kind of glad it exists. But now this happens, so it's like, like, how is it? How is it that this happens in pretty much any, like organized event-based thing, like this shit seeps in, and it's like
You know you made it when the corruption from the other stuff comes to your niche.
right? Like how do people think they're gonna get away with this? Particularly on the organization side, right? Like
Right,
individual
right.
players, I'm sure some of them are real hot d bags, right? But I
Oh, you're being kind.
I am, I really am. But how do you you think you can do this stuff without people finding out? It's incredible to me. Well, now they've drawn the federal ire, so good job, everybody.
Good
Good
job.
job. Okay, on significantly less depressing news. Well, I guess it depends. We'll go with less depressing. Amazon has open sourced their Lumberyard game engine, being renamed to the highly generic Open3D engine. You may recall this having a few licensing issues back in the day, considering it was the Crytek engine, but not the Crytek engine, and there was some debate over whether improvements to said engine should go back to Crytek and should they not, blah, 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 blah. The upswing to this is that this Open3D engine has already had some community improvements made to it surrounding the Vulkan rendering. So, hooray! Now, I don't know how much traction this is going to get, really, considering there's already Unreal and Unity and Godot and blah blah blah. The list goes on. But the fact that it's open source at this point and community contributable is pretty cool. Good job, Amazon. You have done a good. Now
What
to
the fuck?
offset all the amazing
Why
bads
didn't you
that you've
start on
done.
fire?
Right? I'm gonna go check the temperature in a certain subterranean
Oh.
place for this one.
Oh, okay. Well, before we move away from Lumberyard, I guess Amazon did two things right because they did give us a bunch of liquor for free when they announced it at PAX.
That is
We got
true.
shirts too.
And shirts, right. Yep. So we got some free marginally priced goods back in 2016, I believe that was now.
I am a commodity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hooray. I guess it was an interesting event, I think. I don't remember much of it, but I think it was interesting.
They had like actual wine and actual beer and hard liquor and stuff. So I was like, why not?
Cool. I'll take your free booze and your free shirt. I
Oh,
won't
and
use
they had
whatever
hors
you
d'oeuvres.
did they?
I'm pretty sure they did. They had like little fried finger food of like mini egg rolls and stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe they did.
But then we went out for food anyway.
Yeah, then we did. Because we like real food, actual food.
Uh-huh. Hey.
Hmm.
I'm gonna interject real quick
Okay.
because we're on the topic, sort of. PAX West is a thing this year. It's actually going on.
Hmm.
They sold passes and people are buying them. It's at the Reed Convention Center, just like the other years. As much as I really want to go back to a PAX, what the fuck is wrong with you right now?
Yeah, aforementioned nerds, close spaces, hygiene.
Yeah, and you know how PAX is.
Oh, yeah.
It's like less than a half a foot of space with you and everybody else being crammed in there.
Yeah, and every year it develops its own weapons grade biohazard. So like
They
there's
call
already
it the PAX Pox.
for a reason, right? Like there's always something every year that comes out of it. And there's already something like that. Like we don't need to add to man, I don't know. Like this Like I mirror your sentiment. Like I'd really love to go back and have a blast too, but it's just not the right time for that. It really isn't.
Correct.
Grr. Now I'm kind of mad.
Sorry.
That's all right. Well, that was my last news item anyways. Amazon
Oh.
open sourcing their Open3D engine. So proceed.
Well, fair enough. All right. Let's move on. As I just got my notification like 10 minutes ago, Vlad just picked up my copy of Skyward Sword HD, which released today. And apparently a lot of the pre-order bonuses and little like actual Switch bundles and the Joy-Cons and stuff, they're all actually like well produced this time. Like it seems to be worth it. So those Skyward Sword Joy-Cons look really cool. So they even actually put a design on the straps. So it actually has like the same kind of patterning as the hilt of the Master Sword. That's actually really neat because you're using it as a sword.
I guess. Now we'll see if the game itself lives up to all of that, huh?
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to be digging into that a little bit tonight, maybe after the show. Um, yeah, I didn't play the original. I'm pretty sure I watched you attempt to play the original.
Yeah, I got about, I want to say half to 2/3 through it, and then was like, nah, nah,
As the follow-up to Twilight Princess,
I'll
I
pass.
agree. However, allegedly, they resolved a lot of the quality of life things. Like you can actually move the camera now.
Ooh, hey, that's a
Yeah.
plus.
And you can like skip the intro forever cutscene tutorial thing so that that doesn't make you like all of the dialogue before you can push A. You can actually just mash A to get through it.
Also good.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So it has obviously motion controls because it's a Wii game.
But I believe you can substitute just normal joystick movement for the motion controls as well. Like that
Yeah,
was the
that's
other thing
exciting.
that
That's
stood
really
out.
good. That's
That's
real good.
that's a good change.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, pro controller time probably for me if I decide to play it. I remember watching Elise play it at one point, and there was these weird like trials and time stood still thing, and I was like,
Yeah,
I'm not drunk enough for this.
it,
So,
I don't recall those being a great experience.
yeah, same. They looked like a pain in the ass. It was like you have to defeat these 100 enemies on this course in this amount of time. Go, don't
Mm-hmm.
die.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, no,
I think
that's too much anxiety.
there was some weird stealth section segments too, if I recall correctly. But
I don't know.
like my memory
All
of those parts is so fuzzy. Like that very well could have been a fever dream.
all I know is that allegedly Skyward Sword has a lot of the firsts in the Zelda timeline. So,
That I suppose.
I
Yeah.
kind of hope we can choke it down, or at least I can watch like Zeltig's videos on Zelda lore because those are really good, really good. Anyway, enough about Skyward Sword. I'm gonna be sniffing the package as soon as it comes home. Nintendo Switch OLED model announced, disappointing everyone who was pumped for a Pro SKU.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that's not pro.
It isn't Pro. It's a slightly larger screen OLED this time, so I guess you'll have inky blacks and slightly better power consumption with better speakers. That's it. And it costs $50 more. And there's a new dock though. Okay, there is a new dock.
Okay, all right.
And it comes with the Ethernet port built in. It takes away one or two of the USB ports, I
What?
think, allegedly. I didn't look into it too far.
Doesn't it only have like two to begin with?
Yeah,
Ooh,
which one of them would basically be being used up by an Ethernet adapter anyway.
I okay,
But
fair, I guess.
yeah,
Hmm.
shrug. Um, yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. So they replaced one USB connector with an Ethernet connector. Okay.
Hmm.
So they just integrated a Realtek IC and put it on the USB bus and got rid of one of the
Maybe
ports.
there
Okay,
was
cool.
more than two
Neat.
to begin with then.
Yeah.
Huh. All right, well,
Whatever. It's coming. Allegedly pre-order started yesterday, but when I went on Best Buy's website after they actually sent me the email saying, "Hey, this is live now," it still said pre-order now. Actually, I'm going to look at that again because the white one, they made a white console look good, which is a
hmm.
first for Nintendo.
Well,
I mean, at least when you can buy a black version of it.
how is that gonna look in say 5 years though, when the sun has
Sure.
had its way with it?
You would think they would learn that by
You
now.
would think. You really would.
Well, let's see here. Switch OLED. Not OLEN. Not OLEN either. Gross.
Ooh,
Um,
that's different.
very different. Oh, what do we have here? It still says coming soon. Yeah, I don't know if their pre-orders ever actually started for this. They do have pre-orders available for the official Switch carrying case and screen protector, though.
Oh boy.
Very excited. But the white one really, really looks good. And it has the two-tone thing going on like the car I ordered. But yeah, it's got like primarily white with black trim kind of thing going on. It looks
Hmm.
pretty good.
Okay.
Um,
Take your word for it.
but it's also $50 more expensive. And we've had the Switch since 2017, I think.
So it's 2017 or late 2016?
Well, let's have a look.
I think we have this problem every time. Like
I
we
know.
can't remember the
It's
genesis
upsetting.
of this.
I remember standing in line at the GameStop to get my console pre-order, and I was playing, I think it was Mario Kart DS, because somebody had a cartridge and they were like blasting it to 7 other people because you can just do that back in the day.
Right, right.
Oh my god, get off my lawn. Anyway, no, it was March 2017.
2017. Okay.
So cool. I at least have a concept of years. That's surprising.
Approaching four
Um,
and a half years then.
yeah.
Wild.
Well, speaking of things that are years old, a rare copy of id Software's, Doom, etc., demo of their rejected DOS port of Super Mario Brothers 3 has resurfaced in floppy form
Oh boy.
and is now donated to the Museum of Play. Now, after Nintendo basically told them to buzz off, um, they actually kind of kept some of the base engine stuff that they made for the demo and turned it into Commander Keen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Fun fact for you.
Now, what was significant about that was that back in the day when this was being kind of touted around, I believe the spec that was quoted in whatever article I was reading, can't cite my sources on this, but was that it was one of the first action platformers to have scrolling screens rather than having like one area per screen and
Right.
like a hard cut to it or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So that was the significant bit of that development there. And if you remember way back in the day, the OG Commander Keen, they also had scrolling action platformer. So weird little genesis there.
Maybe so. But I mean, Saxon got me really like aware of DOS games because I was in Macland at that point in my life and I never had DOS games going on. So my first Windows experience was Windows 95. And I was real sad that I never got in on 16-bit because Windows 3.1 looked pretty neat. But anyway, yeah, never got into DOS games. So learning some of the interesting evolution of things is interesting now that it's like 20, 30 years later. But wow, I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of games that really seem out of place, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was announced
Excuse me.
with actual competitive fighting game features like
Hmm.
wave dashing and good netcode and all sorts of interesting things. And people are actually talking about it in positive light. Like they're not just memeing on it constantly. They're like
Huh.
positive memes. And I have to say, based
Interesting.
on all of the stuff I've seen, I'm most looking forward to um Jimmy Neutron's dad, Hugh. Yeah. People have made some excellent, like,
Oh no.
good art of this. Like, it's really good. Like, you can do a lot with a well-dressed man.
I
Medic.
I
Um,
suppose
I don't
I
know. I have no idea what to expect. I just I saw it was announced. I saw that it was actually well received from what I've seen. Um, I'm curious how that goes because why not have more than one super competitive cartoony brawl game going on right now?
I am super amused by this being Nickelodeon of all things, being a brawler or
Yeah.
fight. I guess not a brawler, fighting game.
Hey, you get to beat the shit out of SpongeBob, so
Oh, hey, that might be worth the price of admission already.
exactly.
Interesting.
Uh,
What was it called again?
it was
Nickelodeon All
called
Stars something?
Nickelodeon All-Star
All
Brawl.
Star
Uh-huh.
Brawl. Okay.
Oh shit, Nigel Thornberry's in that one too? Damn.
Oh no.
This is like all of the shit that I used to watch in game form, and it's a
Now,
nostalgia fest, which they're absolutely cashing in on
yeah,
with everybody my
if
age.
they're trading on nostalgia, but it's actually a competent fighting game. Amazing.
Feels like it might have to be a dad brawl. Fuck
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Yup.
Hey, look, if we can have porn, not porn games on Steam, we can have a Nickelodeon fighting game. These are not mutually exclusive.
Don't juxtapose those things, please.
Hey,
Just don't.
look, I'm just saying, just saying.
A mint condition sealed copy of Super Mario 64 sells for $1.56 million
I'm
at
sorry,
auction.
1.56
Million
with an M. Oh my god.
with a big M, yes.
Uh,
So, yeah. There's speculation, and I have no idea how serious this is, but it seems plausible that this is really just a front for some very, very obvious money laundering. So
6 million
it
for
totally blows every other thing out of the water. Like, come on, it's freaking Mario 64.
for a Nintendo 64 game, which, let's be real, that generation was not the greatest. First
No.
actual 3D rendering, whatever stuff aside, 1.56 million for
Yeah.
it for something that's never going to be opened, used, enjoyed as video games should be. Oh boy.
Yep.
Man, I wish I had $1.56 million sitting around that I could just blow on that sort of thing.
I would ask for a loan right now.
I sure would. And I'd probably give it to you. I'd be like, I'm not going to buy a video game cartridge for 1.56 million. What are you kidding me?
Hell yeah, you can be the owner of my mortgage then.
Oh my god. Why? What is wrong with people? Like, all right, I'm not going to shit on collectors that like to, accumulate stuff and whatever. Like, whatever does it for you, right? But holy shit, 1.5 million for something like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, okay. Speaking of millions of dollars in a much more positive light, Summer Games Done Quick 2021 happens starting on July 4th. And I did not expect this number. So I was watching, and they barely got their donation incentive for the $1 million mark game that happened.
Huh?
Like, barely on Thursday. And the event ended at $2.9 million.
Oh,
How the shit? Everybody was just sandbagging the whole time. They're just blowing their load on everything on the last 2 days, apparently. I got to watch like 4 runs the entire time because I was so busy. But like, damn, I is that a record? I don't know. Like,
it sounds like it. No, was there one that was 3 point something at some point?
I don't know. That's the problem.
There is a way.
Oh,
I
let's
can
see.
look
I
this
know there's
up, I think.
there's
Right?
a spreadsheet here somewhere. Shit. Games Done Quick on Wikipedia. Yeah, buddy. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Never mind. It was AGDQ 2020. They raised $3.16 million. Shit.
Okay.
I don't remember that being a thing.
But still, 2.9 mil.
Oh, and SGDQ had $3.04 million in 2019. Okay, but still, for an online event at the tail end of a pandemic when everybody's financially kind of fucked, that's good. Like that's exceptional. So
Phew.
props for all of you who had the disposable income to do that. I did not. So
That's super good. Honestly, I spaced on the entire thing. Like, I would remember, and then I would forget, and then I would see it on my Twitter timeline, and then I would forget, and then by the time I actually saw it again, it's just like, it's over. Shit.
yeah.
Oh well, I'll catch all the recordings. Now I've got stuff to watch for a good long time. Which
Yeah,
is nice.
absolutely. Same. I mean, that's kind of the attitude I took toward it too. It was like, huh, the schedule was actually really solid this time. I just didn't get to see any of it. So now that it's after the fact, I can say that I was a volunteer for SGDQ this year. I was one of the host judges.
Oh, nice.
So that was several hours, and I'm talking 100 plus, listening to the same gameplay with different hosts on top. And I could almost do the whole Disc Room by Devolver Digital blurb myself because I heard it so many times. So yeah, I absolutely want to do more with GDQ in the future. It's obviously for a good cause. 2 good causes, actually. Multiple if you go beyond the, awesome and summer games things. Anyway, no, I kind of want to do that again. It was like huh, I'm minorly involved in a marathon. This is scratching an itch that I haven't been able to for however long COVID's been a thing. Shit. That's been a year and a
Year and a
half. God
half.
damn.
Yeah, I know.
No, I
Uh,
don't.
oh.
Moving on. This is sad. All right. I encourage it. There's a lot of volunteer positions that you can do for the event that are completely remote. So, host auditions, chat moderation, all sorts of stuff. So, do it. It's fun. You feel good. You get a volunteer T-shirt at some point. I don't know when mine's gonna show up. But yeah, Yeti's designs this year. I didn't even get to look at them. I have no idea what they are. I just know that they were really popular.
Well, I
So,
mean,
mm,
water wet, sky blue. Yes.
yeah, yeah. All right, before I continue rambling well beyond the time I'm supposed to already, one more thing that I just remembered to put on my list as we were talking. So, Valve, they made a lot of things over the years.
They have.
A controller, um, an amalgamation of different PCs from different manufacturers that they called the Steam Box,
Hmm.
um, the Valve Index, and before that, the Vive, and all sorts of other things. And none of them really kind of turned out well. Like they were okay.
Not to mention the Steam Link, Steam
Or
machines.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah. So Steam Cleaner. Anyway, um, so they have this thing that a lot of people are conflating with an Elgato product by its name. It's called the Steam Deck, not the Stream Deck. And it looks like a Nintendo Switch. It is a handheld device that's running Arch Linux. There you go. With
well,
a weird combination of Zen 2 and RDNA 2. Why they wouldn't go for Zen 3, because that's kind of what the APUs did. I don't know. But they had a custom APU, probably using chiplets from Zen 2 that were left over, so they actually had supply, maybe? I don't know.
perhaps.
Um, and they have three different hardware models, one of which uses an SD card for its storage. Don't buy that one. Please
No.
don't.
No.
Just don't. So the middle one has 256 gigs of vaguely middle quality M.2 drive, but the highest one, which honestly everybody should probably be buying, it's not that expensive. It's 650 bucks, I think. Let me actually bring up that list. Um, wow. I keep getting mixed up in my head typing the name of this thing, and I'm like, I don't want to be on Corsair's website right now. Where am I?
Why
Is the
would
fucking Stream
Corsair?
Link. Corsair owns
Oh,
Elgato, I'm pretty sure.
do they?
Pretty sure.
Oh.
Um
Hmm.
okay, yeah. So the entry model is 399 bucks. It comes with a 64 gig eMMC. I'm sorry, that wasn't SD card, but it's just as trash.
Yeah, not great.
Not great. It comes with a carrying case. Okay, so spending $130 more, you get a 256 gig average speed NVMe drive with the bullet points here: faster storage, a carrying case, and an exclusive Steam community profile bundle. And then finally, the $649 version, which has a faster 512 gig SSD and comes with premium anti-glare etched glass, an exclusive carrying case, and another exclusive Steam community profile bundle. But this time it also has an exclusive virtual keyboard theme, so you know that shit's fresh.
Oh boy.
Well, there's only so much sarcasm I can do.
You did a
Um,
pretty good job.
yeah. So yeah, you have a cursed child between the Nintendo Switch and the Game Gear, that's in handheld form, that has a dock that takes advantage of Thunderbolt, and you can just plap the thing down and connect it to a monitor, and there you go. You have a full Linux desktop that can run games
Mm-hmm.
and all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of shit. And I'm like, that's actually really cool. And that's actually a really respectable price for what you get.
It sure is.
So, I mean, like, I can meme and shit on this all I want, but I reserved one. So I kind of think it's going to be a thing. I'm not even necessarily getting it for the games per se, but like the ability to have a computer that comes with me that isn't my laptop that I have to be tethered to a USB-C charger fucking constantly. It's actually pretty cool. So this thing has a 48 watt hour battery, I'm pretty sure. It gets about 2.5 to 3 hours of battery life, allegedly.
Oh, wow, you saw
But
that narrow range? I saw 2 to 8.
wait, what?
I saw a 2 to 8 battery hour life.
Oh, I don't know
Two
what I
to
was
eight
reading
hour
earlier, but it
battery
said it
life.
was
Good
about
lord.
2.5 hours to 3 hours.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, naturally it's gonna vary depending on what you're doing with it, how intense the games are that are running it, and all that sort
right.
of thing. But I forget what source I was reading that was 2 to 8 hours. But
Oh,
but hey, it's like this is gonna live and die on the software too. Like I a lot of the stuff I've been reading about it today, like all the headlines are just effusive praise for this. Oh, you take your Steam library anywhere, play all the games, blah 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 blah. This is still ostensibly a Linux based device. And granted, I will not fault Valve for what they've done with that. Them doing Proton, which is based on Wine, they have done some really
mhm.
solid work on that. Like props to
Yep.
them. But I think what people are going to get disenchanted by is that they're going to read this as their full Steam library, and it's not. It's not going to be.
Now,
Um,
allegedly, you can install your own operating system on this thing.
right. Yep. That's the other kind of sticking point to this. Like you could wipe it and put Windows 10 on there if you really want to.
Uh-huh.
Allegedly. Again, we won't know
Or Windows
until
11.
uh, we won't really know until hardware gets in hands and people start using the thing, right?
I guess. Yeah.
And then there's the whole point that you brought up at the very beginning. Like this, Valve is no stranger to kind of flopped hardware, or not necessarily flopped hardware that they don't really support for a very long time.
Yep.
Steam
They
Link
lose
only,
interest in it.
yeah, Steam Link only had like a year and a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it was
Um,
too long.
Steam Machines probably even less than that. Uh, Now the index is relatively new still, right? I've seen actual like banner ads for that in Steam itself, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I wasn't aware
allegedly
that
the
was a
Valve
thing.
Index is still the VR headset to get.
Yeah, like
Allegedly.
that's the top class one essentially right now.
Yeah.
But you gotta wonder like $5 buy-in for pre-order, whatever. Like slap a Lincoln down and get in on that shit if you want to.
Pretty much.
$650 for the hardware that they're claiming in there. All right, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, let's hope they stick to it.
Mhm.
I would love to see this take off. Like that would be great. Like I'm contemplating another build and thinking, oh, I can use my old build, put it up to the TV, and be able to play games up there. Like that would be great. For me, as someone who has invested a whole heck ton of money into a really full PC build, like I want to like this. I really
Uh-huh.
do. But then I'm like, well, whenever I'm playing PC games, I'm just going to be at my desktop anyways. Like this doesn't fill a niche for me. But hell, I would love this
Where
for
it
this to
fills that
succeed.
niche though is when you travel. You take that dock with you, you plug it into a TV, and suddenly you have your entire Steam library that you've already preloaded whatever games you care about.
Entire asterisk, right?
Yeah. But I imagine you can replace the drive that's in there. Probably. Get yourself a 4 terabyte NVMe, and if you fill the damn thing, well,
Well,
okay.
I was more entire asterisk on compatibility and support rather than
Well,
actual
okay, that's fair.
size,
But I
right?
mean,
Because
the
512
thing
is
that I'm most
sizable.
interested in is like, I'm going to put CEMU on that thing. I'm going to emulate Wii U games. I'm going to emulate Switch games. I'm going to do all of these things that Nintendo's consoles can't do.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to, just kind of cackle at that and be like, guess what I'm doing? I'm playing Link to the Past on yet another device that it's not supposed to be running on.
Right?
Yeah.
But like,
So,
if you think about the lion's share of use cases for that, how many people are gonna do that? Do you wonder? Like, wipe the OS that comes on it, install Windows, whatever, do
mhm.
emulation. I'm sure there's gonna be a fairly sizable chunk that'll do basic emulation, like
And it's x64.
yeah,
So it's not like it's ARM 64 either. So you
right.
don't have to get weird fucky builds of Windows 10 and put it on there
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and secure boot and all that other stuff. Like you just install a different operating system or you can probably install it alongside. Like this is cool. Like, our hardware seems like it's going to be very permissive.
Right.
Um, it's just exciting. It was totally out of left field for me. Like, for once, they didn't leak something before they announced it. For once. And, like, it was actually really cool. It wasn't super mega disappointing. And for the price, honestly, it seems really fair considering especially the shortages that are going on right now. Like, they probably got in early on getting storage and stuff set up, but I mean, like, if they were reusing Zen 2 chiplets that were just kind of binned for whatever reason, like, "Hey, we can't use these now because we're not producing those anymore."
Right.
Cool. Less e-waste? I don't know. Like, damn. No, the prospect of this thing is really interesting, and I'm more looking at it from a computing standpoint. Like, cool, I could play SAR on a handheld. Neat. But, like, it's a portable PC,
It is. And
and it's really cool.
I'm really interested in this taking off because, like, if this does gain traction, if this is somehow hugely popular, which I hope it is,
Mhm.
like, that's a real big win for SteamOS, Linux support, even
Uh-huh.
if it's just through Proton or whatever, which is already really good.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see more attention and money and development effort thrown into stuff like that. That just
Mhm.
benefits everything. Like, I don't care that it's not, native Linux support. Like, that stuff's great. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm a pragmatist in that though. Like, if it doesn't work in native Linux, Proton. If it doesn't work in Proton, which is like a 1 in 50 shot for me at this point. Sure, I'll begrudgingly boot Windows and do it. But hell, if this attracts more focus on that stuff, like, it can be nothing but a win.
I honestly think that hmm, if Valve advertises this thing properly and gets it in the right hands pre-release so they can generate more interest in this and it actually gets out there and sells well. I mean, there are a lot of big what ifs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, provided it gets out there and people are excited by it, it's gonna turn dev heads. Like, they're gonna be like, okay, so now that Steam libraries are becoming more portable and handheld officially, kind of got to target that if we want to get more sales and things like that. So, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. And I agree that it really can only for better development, pretty sure. And
And
it's Arch.
and
That's pretty neat.
the other aspect of that, I mean, being Proton and all, usually the big names that don't work with it are, mega popular titles, but the reasons that they don't work is because of the DRM. So if this ends up helping to kill some of that, even better. Even better for
Hmm.
everybody. Like, holy shit. I get them wanting to protect titles and shit, but feeling like a criminal for buying a game and trying to use it and then it just either working really shittily or not at all. Ugh. Please to fix, right? So, I don't know. Like so many other developments similar to this, cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. Um, if this does take off, I really want them to kind of revive efforts on the Steam Link, Steam Machine side of things too, like just for my own, selfish reasons because I've already got a beefy PC. I'd love to leverage it up to my TV or to somewhere else or whatever. But I can see the niche that this is serving for mobile gaming too. Mobile
Definitely.
gaming, it's
Now,
actual mobile
I
gaming.
actually just kind of got reminded of one of the animations they had on the product page where they were popping in an SD card and all of the games appeared, removing the SD card and it removed the games from the library seamlessly, allegedly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which makes me think, I wonder if this is going to have SMB support. I wonder if I can load shit off the network. I wonder if I can like connect to my desktop instance of Steam that's running elsewhere in my house and just play the games off of that like, the other Steam products that they had. I think if they actually, like, incorporated that, holy shit,
Like, yeah,
that'd be really cool.
if that's the
So,
case and that gets either confirmed or hacked in or whatever, like I would buy in then. Like
yeah,
that's a win for me. But
I
cautious
don't know, this is me
optimism.
speculating things, but, I started looking at all of their product list and I'm like, there's a lot of things in common here. Like, they're inching towards something, And this might be the thing that actually allows them to get all of that together.
Mm-hmm.
Like they may even be
Mm-hmm.
able to bring back the Steam controller. And when it's in dock mode, there you go, perfect Bluetooth pairing. It works with everything because Steam controller support's baked into Steam. That kind of thing. That would be cool. Bring back a slightly better hardware revision of the Steam controller and make it work effortlessly with this thing, and you definitely got a winner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I know I've gone on and on and on about this thing, but I mean, like, obviously it's good for games. It's going to get PC games out into a form factor that it wasn't previously available on, at least with, non-niche hardware. But also, it kind of does what Android tried to do a little bit with docking a phone and having a full operating system available for you, like the Ubuntu release for phones and things like that.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
this is that minus, I guess, cell connection, which you could probably add. USB. But yeah, no, this is a very interesting proposition. Like, you have a Steam dock and you just plop the thing in. It's connected to your TV like the Switch does right now. I mean, I've got 2 or 3 or 4 Switch docks based on like where I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be kind of the same thing. And they say it works with third-party docks or port replicators, whatever the hell you want to call now, because it just uses the one Thunderbolt connection. Like, I already have a couple of those. Like, I could just use what I already have, and it does the same thing.
Funny
Like, it
what you
supports
can.
HDMI and DisplayPort and all that.
Funny what you can do when you adhere to spec, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Also using USB-C properly. Looking at you, Nintendo.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I've rambled on and on and on enough about this thing, but it's really exciting, and I'm going to keep talking about it as we get closer to release and new stuff is released.
But until that time for some Toonskis.
Yep, I think so.
All right, take it away.
All right. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Firstly, we have I Can't Go On, I'll Go On. By Zast from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, followed by Savak by Chimpazilla from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And finally, because every time needs a song by Rebecca E. Tripp, she writes Autumn Delights from Stardew Valley.
Another month hath passed. That leaves another month for us to possibly have played some games. I would hope at any point, since
Sure did.
we talk about games here and news and what we've been playing. We do some design later. Huh. So I hope we've been playing some.
A little bit.
All right. How about you start today?
All right. Well, I haven't been playing as often because we've been doing a lot of car maintenance and selling vehicles and stuff. But I have gotten some gaming time in. I played Super Animal Royale. Their summer event is still going on for 4 more days, I think. Um, I played that maybe once in the last 3 weeks, maybe. Um, Still a fun game. Still anticipating getting back to it. Vlad and I are about to be out for 2 weeks and coming back on August 1st. And at that point, with his new work schedule, I should be able to get back into streaming after work. So anticipate more SAR then. Um, I finally started playing Halo. um,
Wow, that's a shift.
a little bit. So you and I played Halo 3 co-op in 3M. I think that was the dorm building you were in at the time.
Dude,
It wasn't 3M. It was the one next to it.
was that Halo 3 or was that Halo 2?
It was. I'm pretty sure it was Halo 3 because we were driving warthogs at the end, avoiding a floor that was falling apart. I'm pretty sure that was 3.
That could have been Halo 1 then, because that escape sequence has. Oh no, the floor falling apart. Yeah, that's Halo 3 then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
somehow I got through that. So I tried playing it now, and I just can't because I'm so used to inverting both axes, and I
Oh,
can't.
gross.
There's no way to do it. So I'm just kind of like, oh god, every time I'm trying to like line up a shot, I go the opposite way, and I'm this is real bad.
Wait,
So
no way to do it, as in they don't let you invert the
you
controls?
you can invert the y-axis, you cannot invert the x-axis.
Oh,
There's no way to do it.
who inverts the x-axis? Oh, whoa, whoa.
I got used to that with hundreds of hours of Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, right, because they probably rotate the
Uh-huh.
camera and not the character type
Yes.
thing, right? Okay. All right, I get you.
So I'm used to
Phew.
tank controls. And
Phew.
yeah, no. No, I just
Wow.
can't. I'm really, really trying and I'm really failing.
Like this has
So
to
I
be a Master Chief collection, right?
okay, so we tried booting it up on the original Xbox and the disc that we have is just too scratched.
Ah, okay.
So we ended up moving to the Master Chief collection because the Xbox Game Pass is
Huh.
actually really solid for the amount of games you get for $10 a month. So I have the Master Chief collection on it, and we booted it up, and that's how we've been playing with the classic graphics and the classic animations and sounds and everything. We turned all the classic stuff on. I don't
Right,
even know what the
right.
new shit works or it looks like, but
Huh.
in the control scheme, you can invert up and down. Still cannot go left and right, and I'm pretty sure that I can't go into the Xbox accessories app and invert the right control stick.
That
So I'm gonna
surprises
have to
me.
try that, but I Googled and Binged and all sorts of stupid shit, and I just cannot find a way to do it.
Ah, that
And it's so
surprises me.
upsetting.
I thought they
Like, if
offered
I could do
you
that, I'd be so much more competent.
thought they offered you inversion on both sticks, but maybe not. Guess I've never thought to look for it because
I mean, like, I don't really need to invert the left stick. I need to invert the right stick. So, but yeah, you can invert up and down, you cannot invert left and right. So
wild, wild. Well,
I'm gonna try to get used to it again. It's kind of like learning how to use keyboard and mouse for SAR
sh-
instead of controller
sure.
and
Yeah,
playing without inversion on either axis because that's what games expect. It's kind of like how it took me some time to get used to uh scroll gestures on a trackpad going the opposite direction. So I just kind of had to learn that. So I did that. I can probably do this. It'd take me some time. I still have not done keyboard and mouse on SAR. Fuck that. Um, but I like Halo. It's interesting. I want to continue playing it. I just want to not have a bad time. So
Fair enough.
I'm gonna keep trying to look in little hacks to see if I can get that working. And if I can't, oh well.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I play on PC, I can probably get something going. Probably with like Joy to Key or something weird. Um, but we'll have to see what I can do on the Xbox. The Xbox Series X though, interestingly good machine. It's pretty zippy. Like I haven't noticed any weird tearing or frame rate drops or anything yet, like on any of the games. It's been interesting. So my first Xbox console ever, doing okay. Um Moving on to PC games, at least for now. Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time. Played that one night with Vlad. I ended up playing that in 4-player co-op with Saxon, Lauren, and Kyle like 4 or 5 years ago. And we got through the whole game in one day. That was pretty good. Now with just two of us though, it's a little harder.
Yeah. A
So
little bit more to pay
um
attention to.
we gotta pick that back up at some point. It's fun. Um it's just stressy, but that's kind of what the
Which
game's about.
which is kind of strange given its very cutesy aesthetic, right?
Yeah, but then you start getting rushed by things if you take too long,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
you die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's not good. Um, also on PC, and this is extremely in the loosest sense. Vlad's been playing a lot of FTL, so faster than light, whatever. Everybody calls it FTL. And I've been like loosely making suggestions for like ship names and dialogue options and things like that. So that's about my extent of playing FTL, but that's been a big co-op thing lately where he'll just boot that game up and I'll fuck around and lay there and get comfy and watch FTL because let's face it, that soundtrack really chill, really really good. So my favorite song in that soundtrack is When You Encounter a Pirate Ship. Like that's my favorite song. It's really good. I love it. Anyway, go buy the soundtrack. I don't care if you buy the game, just go buy the soundtrack. It's really good. And then finally, Star Wars Battlefront, the original, the OG on Xbox with the Duke. I run into the same problem, not being able to invert axes. That's a bitch of a time. Um, I'm real bad. I am extremely bad. I'm just not used to FPS or TPS or whatever the hell outside of reports. Um, and yeah, I'm trying. I don't know much about the Star Wars universe, honestly. It's just not something I grew up with because of my parents being them. Um, but it's a fun game. It's extremely slow, as in frame rate, especially in split screen. It's dogged down a
Yep.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's interesting. I'd like to play more of it. I'd like to be less terrible. So that's kind of one of those, hey, you got to get used to not inverted controls things again.
I
I'll get to it.
remember playing that one. Let's see. This is 2021, so it'd be 2007.
Hmm.
So 14 years ago. Not the Xbox version, but the PS2 version.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have a memory card, so I had to leave the machine on until I got through the entire thing.
Nice.
It was fun though. It was quite enjoyable. I'm not a big Star Wars universe, extended universe, whatever dude either, but it seemed to me at the time a very competently made FPS.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, for being, I think EA made it.
I think you're right. I think it was
For being
EA.
an EA game, I was just kind of like, huh, this isn't a total pile of dog trash.
Yeah, back before EA kind of took a giant shit on itself and decided to be a bad company.
Hmm. But I want to get back into it. I hear that Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a lot of quality of life improvements. So I want to at least get used to playing Battlefront 1 and then move into something that allegedly is a better, more fluid game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
And maybe that one
yeah,
will let
no,
you invert X.
maybe. But I want to get used to these, I guess, FPS and TPS, third person shooters, so I can try the genre more instead of just being like, I don't have these skills. I can't. So I'm trying. Baby steps.
Maybe you
Baby
should play
steps.
Risk of Rain 2 with me, Boris, and 006 then.
Remind me what that is again?
That's
I've
a
heard the name.
That's a third-person shooter. The original Risk of Rain was a 2D side-scrolling platformer, action
Right.
platformer, I
Okay.
suppose. Risk of Rain 2 took that into like full-on 3D open roaming type thing,
Sure. Sure. Okay.
and turned it into a third-person shooter, which works surprisingly well. My goodness, I still am kind of amazed by it every time I boot it up and be like, hey, from the original Risk of Rain to this works super well, and it's really
Yeah.
fun and quite difficult if you want it to be. Um,
Right.
so that's always a good time when we get together sometimes on weekends to play that. It's usually our go-to because it works so well.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. No, I'll have to keep everybody abreast of my progress in not dying in as soon as I try to get into a game of one of these things because I hat goes on foot kind of
Mm.
thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
remember trying to play Halo 2 sometime in high school at a friend's house that had a bunch of Xboxes networked together, and I couldn't figure out how to move. So I basically just aimed up and kept firing until I shot myself to death.
Hmm.
I was like, I just couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, I'm participating. So yeah, I'm gonna that is my benchmark. I can do better than that. Somehow I got through Halo 3 with you. I have no fucking clue how that happened. Unless that game allows me to invert both axes. That could have been a thing.
Maybe I don't know. Like,
Because I was definitely playing a lot of FF12 at that point. Because that was, I think, my junior year.
sounds about the right time frame. Yeah.
It was either sophomore or junior. No, it had to have been junior year then. Because, yeah,
Uh-huh.
because you're in that building. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't know. I figured it out then somehow. So I'll have to see. If Halo 3 is like holding out on me and is the one that has frickin' both axes, I'm just going to be like, fine, that's how I did it. Now I need to undo it. So, anyway, that's my progress with games.
Wild. Wild stuff. But hey, you're reaching out into other genres, which is neat to see.
I'm trying.
Since I kind of came at the Axis inversion in the opposite direction. I way back when I was really young, like 6, 7, 8, or whatever, playing OG Descent in
Ah,
DOS on keyboard and mouse. I always played with Y-axis inversion, so up, pressing up pitches down and pressing down pitches up and whatever. For I don't know how much longer later I inverted that, and it took me a damn long time to kind of forget that whole thing. Um, and the really weird thing about that was I started using a joystick at that time,
mm,
where it's like sometimes you naturally think like using a joystick, pulling back, going down would pitch you
mhm,
up, right? And then
right.
pushing forward would pitch you down. But I turned off the inversion, so pulling back would push you down, and pushing forward would pitch you up. And then I never inverted anything ever again after that for some reason. So I
Hmm.
don't know, like the human brain and perception and movement and hand-eye coordination and stuff like that is weird. So
Yep.
I guess I won't rag on you too much for inverting X because it does make a lot of sense if you think about it, whether you're rotating the camera or the player.
Right. And like, I'm trying to get my brain to think of it as like adjusting a throttle or something instead of taking a stick and moving it down to pitch up like I'm using a Gatling gun or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's really a I know I can flip it. I just need to get myself to think of it in a different way so that I can do it more easily instead of just fighting it. Because I know if I do it the wrong way, I'm going to go back to the other games and invert both axes and not be able to play them. So, uh,
Almost certainly. Yeah. Wild stuff.
yep.
Perception is weird.
Uh huh.
Okay. So since last time, when we did last show, I was in the middle of Black Future 88. That is now complete. I did manage to get through an entire run. I actually managed to loop it 3 times,
Wow.
which was good and fun. Until I got to the end, apparently I had glitched it in such a way that the bosses refused to drop any upgrades or power ups or items or anything after that
Yeah.
point. But I still managed to kind of get through the game until it was glitched so hard that the script for the final boss before it looped again just stopped.
Meh.
Like I beat the boss, he went through his whole, death rattle dying scene or whatever, but then the game was just it stayed there. Like it
Meh.
didn't loop again to the beginning. It's like, well, okay, I guess I'm done with this cool 3 loop run. Thanks, Black Future 88. Which
Nice.
was kind of a bummer because I was really getting into it, and it's just the longer you go, the more powered up you get, and you just kind of you hit the flow better than you did before. So that was
Yeah, yeah.
the unfortunate bit about it, but I was happy to at least loop it once or twice, right?
Absolutely.
So done with Black Future 88, fun game. I hope that eventually those bugs get fixed. Picked up Exit the Gungeon, and this is a spin-off of Enter the Gungeon,
Okay, good.
by Dodge Roll Games. I kind of like it better than Enter the Gungeon. Come to think of it, because it takes, instead of being a top-down twin stick, it becomes a side-scrolling action platformer twin stick. But it takes out some of the kind of grindy bits. Like Enter the Gungeon runs are being good are predicated on the weapon drops that you get,
Sure.
which is pretty par for the course for roguelike twin stick, free roam, procedural gen, etc. But this one, the main conceit of it is that you don't pick up guns necessarily. There's a mode in it where you like go back to the Enter the Gungeon standby where you gather weapons and use them. But this one, your gun changes like every 30 seconds or so. So you have that bit taken away from you, which works, I think, pretty well in its favor. Like you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think, oh, I don't want to use this gun. I want to save the ammo for later, etc., etc. So you just kind of go with that. Plus, it takes even some of the randomness out of it too. Like sure, you have to deal with whatever random weapons you get at the time, but it's so much less. I don't know if it's less thinking involved or less kind of worry involved, less anxiety or whatever, but it seemed to work better for me. And
Hmm.
it seems a lot shorter too. Like a good run through that is like 25-30 minutes. And I don't know if it's just because the levels are shorter or the I don't know. I don't even know how to describe the levels really. It's single room levels, but only like 7 or 8 throughout an entire run, and then a boss fight in every other one. So
Sure.
it's probably just shorter overall, but it felt a lot tighter gameplay loop wise, which maybe is why I enjoyed it a bit more. Not saying that Enter the Gungeon is a bad game. It's a good game uh, on its own, but I don't know. I like Exit Gungeon a little bit more.
Cool.
That one was a little bit shorter. It took about 2.5 weeks to get through that, which is still a lot of fun. I still play it a little bit on the side too, just because it's a good time, even though I'm kind of through most of the content of it.
Yeah.
So after that, I picked up Shift Quantum, which is a side-scrolling puzzler. It has been a while since I played a puzzle game, and you can tell because sometimes brain no do good in these puzzle games. But we're a week in, and I think I'm about 60% through. They give me a nice progress indicator that goes down to the 100th of a percent for progress. So it's like, oh, that's neat. I'm 60% or like 58.25% through or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. But that's a lot of fun. That's a not quite as intense of a puzzle game as some other ones I've done, like Talos Principle.
Hmm.
But it's a neat little thing. This one happens to be spiritual or otherwise, a sequel to a Flash-based game called Simply Shift.
Huh.
And in fact, if Firetron is still watching, I think he had identified that the first night we played it on Monday this past week. So that was an interesting little tidbit to learn. Still probably got another week and a half with it to get through the remaining puzzle bits of it. This is one of those where you can do kind of the bare minimum and kind of step through the game and blaze through it at a pretty fast pace. But now we're taking our time, playing all the levels, finding all the little extra bits, and doing our thing. The one downside to it, I will say, is that there's not really a whole lot of narration to it that I can yell at or characters to get angry at. Like I always like doing those sorts of things just for fun. But it's a very straight up, here's this puzzle, solve the puzzle, move on, do next puzzle type thing, which I can also respect. Like it doesn't waste your time.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy quite a bit. That's still in progress. Another week or so left of that one.
Cool.
On the Shmup Book Club side of things, our new shmup for the month of July is Invader. It's a shmup for Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
Yeah, which is weird in and of itself, right? Because there's not a whole lot of shmups for Game Boy Advance.
Right?
It's a fairly competent one too. Like it's interesting. Mechanics wise, it's pretty simple because the GBA can't really do much. It's it's SNES level power at best sometimes.
Hmm.
There's a weird story to it as well, which everybody ignores because shmup stories don't really matter as much. Um, Unfortunately, it has a pretty big problem where you seem underpowered even from the very start. So you lose a lot of runs very early on, and it just gets to be a slog trying to make
Mm.
one happen. So unfortunately, this one turned it into a one and done for most people. Like they put in their run or whatever run they could put together for it and just said, all right, that's enough. Which I understand. It's a hard game to get into when you're just getting the shit beat out of you constantly in the first third of it. Um,
Hmm.
but Invader, neat little quirky title for GBA. I'd play it for the novelty, just just for that, essentially. Our quarterly for the third quarter now of 2021 is Salamander 2. This is a very standard back in the day Konami shmup, known for Salamander and Gradius, and I think they did Darius as well. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But a little bit more forgiving, I think, than other standard Konami shmup titles. It's non-checkpointed, so when you die, lose a life, whatever, you start back from where you were. You do lose speed and missiles and some weapon power and all that, but you can pick up your options right away too. Again, so it's not a death sentence when you die. It just gets a little bit harder and you try to recover. An interesting title. That's still going strong up through the end of September here for 2021 for quarter three. Our kind of off-quarter game is still R-Type Delta. That ends at the end of this month, end of July. Uh, One of the better R-Type R-Type titles. It's called Rude Type for a reason because it is a very rude game. I've probably made that assessment several times in talking about it, but that's still going strong. Sunday long plays have been interesting. I've been working on Spelunky 2,
Hey.
trying to get to the final area, and I finally did it this past Sunday. Got to the final area, got like two or three more stages into it, and then finally ate shit. But my goodness, it. I'm sure I'm just bad at the game, but boy howdy, was it a white knuckle experience trying to get just that far. Like it gets so scary, and Spelunky, as you know, is rude,
Hmm.
extremely rude game. It does not want you to live. So getting that far, I will consider an achievement, and I'll probably still play it on and off on the sides. But we're probably gonna put that to bed for Sunday long plays for now. I've achieved my goal of getting to that final area, and I can feel okay about myself for that.
There you go.
Oh boy. So one final game to mention here. I haven't even been playing this for grab bags or any other like normal stream thing, but I've been toying with the idea off and on of doing solo Link to the Past multi-worlds.
Aha.
I was inspired in part by our good friend Eon doing her single malt charity thing where she
Hmm.
tackled a 3 world LTTP multi-world on her own.
Hmm.
Um, and I did this in kind of two different phases, right? There, I don't know if we've covered this in the past, but the BizHawk Shuffler,
Uh-huh.
that little bit that takes a whole bunch of ROMs and randomly swaps between them as you're
Uh-huh.
playing. Um, your good friend, Author Blues, Tormod, and my
Uh-huh.
my kind of passing acquaintance, Author Blues, took this concept and applied it to LTTP multi-world, where you can line up X number of worlds in LTTP rando and shuffle them through the BizHawk Shuffler. I tried this with 3. Uh, that was chaotic.
Uh-huh.
I got about maybe a third of the way through all of them and was like, wow, okay, my brain is busted. Like, I can't do this. So I took another alternate approach in running multiple emulators simultaneously and doing kind of the more standard traditional multi-world approach, which having them all run at the same time. I did though. At first, I tried 2 2 of those, Key Sanity, Enemy Rando, Randomized Crystals, etc., side by
Yeah.
side. That went okay for a bit, and then my brain broke. So I decided to dumb that down a bit to normal open standard, no Key Sanity, 7 crystals all the way across, and I eventually got through a pair of those. I was able to set it up such that I had Open Tracker running with auto tracking on all of it, which was nice. It's just one thing that I don't have to think about doing, clicking out, whatever.
Yep.
I managed to make it work across 3 different play sessions, which was great. I think I got a little bit shafted by the multi-world generation, because both worlds that I had slated for those, both of them required an AGA 1 kill for Dark World access. And I think one of them had a key item in Ganon's Tower for the other one. And it was just, it just seemed like RNG was out to get me no matter where I turned. And it took way longer than it should have. But it was still a lot of fun. So I'm thinking about maybe kind of filing that away for later. Perhaps as an on-stream event at some point, because it really isn't a bad setup. Plus with all the auto tracking and whatever, it's really not too terribly onerous to get it to work. So that'll be upcoming at some point, I think.
Cool.
I might retry putting Key Sanity back in the mix for that, because honestly that does add a whole lot of spice to it.
Yeah.
But oh man, that first go of it I made was just no. There was no way I was gonna be able to finish that in any reasonable amount of time. But I'm glad I tried it. Like the whole idea of multi-world is just so fascinating to me, and then the ability to do it solo and not try to get so many people's disparate schedules to line up to make this work is fun in and of itself. So
Right.
Oh, okay. I think that's what we've been playing all the way around. How about some more Toonskis?
All right, it's your turn this time.
It is indeed. We'll start with a remix from Okami entitled Hanagasumi by Jorito, Gamer the Winds, and Juan Medrano. Second, a remix from Kirby Superstar entitled Until the Next Dance by Sori, Eladar, Sylphir the Jackal, T-Bone, and Kenny Jr. And then finishing off with a remix from Kid Icarus Uprising entitled Black Feathers in the Sky by McVaff. So how generous do we think the RNG is going to be tonight?
Let's find out.
Probably
As
not
always,
generous
we
enough.
have 3 chances. So we roll the first time. If we decide we don't like it, we can mulligan and roll again. And then if we really, really don't like the second one, we can mulligan one more time and use the third, which we did do last time.
If memory serves, that was the past couple of times.
Maybe so.
Hmm. Well,
But
all right.
we, you ready for me to push the button?
Oh
Actually,
yeah.
why don't you just
Push,
tell me when? I'll just
push
do it.
that button. Let's see what we got to work with.
All right, 2 genres and 2 themes.
Okay.
All right, the first genre, virtual pet. The second genre, wagon adventure.
Okay. All right. All
Uh,
right.
all right,
Not terrible.
the 2 themes. The first is bathrooms,
Oh.
and the second is professors.
Oh no. Oh, the themes kind of killed it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like I'm
I'm
gonna.
thinking this is kind of a hodgepodge of junk.
Yeah, I'd say that's an easy reroll, but maybe you disagree.
No, it's junk. Let's
Okay.
move on.
Reroll.
All right, tell me when to push the button.
Do it.
Wow, this one's really light. 2 genres and 1 theme.
Okay.
This could be easy, actually.
Hmm?
I'm not sure if we want easy,
Oh.
but the first genre is pinball.
All right. Huh?
The second is racing sim.
Okay.
The theme is ideas.
I ideas, huh?
Yeah, which is incredibly open-ended.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oh
So,
boy. Well, I mean, I agree. This could be very easy,
yeah.
but knowing
And we have
that,
a lot of freedom to do whatever the hell we want with this one,
right?
basically.
And knowing that, do we risk that and toss it away and be subject to whatever the third one is? Pinball
Well,
racing sim.
I'll tell you what.
Ideas.
I have a D20 here.
Phew.
You want to call evens or odds, or
We
high or
gotta
low, or how do you want to do this to see if we want to re-roll?
roll for initiative on this, huh? Okay.
Kinda.
All right. Sure. Evens, we stick with what we have.
All right. You ready for this?
Let's go.
All right. We rolled a 2.
All right. We stick with it.
All right. So, pinball
Pinball
and racing
racing
sim.
Interesting.
Ideas.
Okay. Well, okay, we can make this kind of interesting then. Let's start kind of oddball at the very start with our player count. I'm feeling like a competitive cocktail style pinball machine.
Okay.
So 2, possibly even 3 or 4 players.
Okay. We talking like a plus sign kind of arrangement where everybody
Yeah.
has their own 90 degrees?
Yeah, where you can
Okay.
hit your pinball into their fields,
Sure. Okay.
and somebody can be juggling like 4 at once, and the others have nothing, right?
Sure. Yeah. Ooh.
Uh,
Ooh, I like it. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really dope.
right. So input method seems kind of like self-explanatory here, like pinball, like flippers and shit,
Yeah, exactly.
flippers and shit. Like yeah, graphic style is like some of these are kind of prescribed,
Ooh.
right? Like what can we do with this? What can we do to shake it up?
Okay, so I'm going to put a pin in that real quick here.
Sure.
So, as we're talking about things from the very beginning, you were talking about how you would interact with a thing. So, obviously, you would have your flippers, but you'd also have a plunger of some sort or something that would behave as one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
I'm thinking that if we wanted to, like, make this something that you could progressively upgrade your pinball or your character or something like that, however we want to angle it, um, you could earn vehicle upgrades as you do challenges on the pinball table as you complete them and things like that. You light up the 5 switches and you get a letter or something. I don't know, whatever the hell pinball wants to do with this. But like
Uh-huh. Okay.
you get like a roulette of vehicle upgrades you can get and things like that. And the better your upgrade or whatever build you decide to do, it impacts how quickly you can get out of the gate, how much that acceleration can afford you in distance, that kind of stuff too. You might have triggers, for instance, like Mario Circuit, whatever, I can't remember whatever it's called in Mario Kart 8, but basically it's the castle track, but um there's a section of it that's kind of angled up at like 60 degrees. So you could trigger something where ordinarily a part of the pinball table, the track, whatever you want to call it, would be flat. But if you triggered it or if you set off an event, it could become angled. And
Oh,
if you
I
didn't
see.
have the required acceleration to get up the thing, you couldn't complete the further objectives for it.
Okay. So an ability to modify like the shared area of this 2 or 4-way pinball table.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
I realized I went in a totally different direction with that, but I had some ideas on what we really wanted to get those out.
Modification of shared pinball area. Okay. Yeah. A lot of modern tables kind of they take the whole progression route, right?
Right.
Where you initiate certain modes, you do the requisite to pass that mode, and then you move on to others, right?
Right.
So initiate and complete modes to modify shared pinball area to your benefit and other players' detriment, right?
Sure.
Could be one way to
Now,
go about it.
it'd actually be pretty interesting here. So, in the theme, or rather the genre, I guess, of racing sim, traditionally, it's either competitive races that are real short and you're racing each other at the same time,
Right.
fine. But you can have endurance races too, where it's how long can you last without your vehicle getting destroyed? So which racer can actually last the longest? And that probably fits pinball better
True. True enough.
because the longer you stay alive, the more likely you are to rack up points and get bonuses and things like that. So we could treat this like an endurance race. So that is very legitimately something that is popular with racing sims. Um, so I think the goal would be to be much more directly competitive. You'd want to try to give yourself advantages, but also at the same time, removing advantages for the person you're playing against or the people you're playing against. So they wouldn't be able to do upgrades, or you would knock them out. And if you caused an impact with a certain hazard on the table, or even if you knocked into them yourself, it would like break a part off of their virtual car, so they wouldn't be as effective anymore, or something like that.
Okay. All right. That gives it a kind of an on offense bent, right?
Right, right.
How would players defend against that then? Simply by preventing losing pinballs down their center well there, or drain. I guess it's a drain.
Yeah. You could have something like if whatever condition you want to do here. I'm thinking like, there's on a lot of tables, as you have the ball kind of drain into where your flippers would be,
Mm-hmm.
if you go down multiple paths and you light up all of the paths, you get like a bonus or something like that. You could get something where it would give you an opportunity to push a special button because there's pinball tables that have a lot of that now too, where you can like do an action by pushing a button outside of the flippers and the plunger. That will something, and you could have like an invincibility power up or a defense or a bumper or something like that that would prevent the damage being done to you by the person who's attacking you.
Right. So
Maybe.
like turning on or re-enabling your kickback bumpers or your center post or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Or even like literally giving you 2 or 3 seconds of invulnerability from an attack.
I get you.
Like,
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you could trigger hazards on the field or something like that, but you can also literally like have your very small bit of invincibility.
What do they typically call that? Like the replay or the reshoot. Not
Um,
necessarily a shoot again type thing, but like a A saver? A ball saver?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. That's
Small
pretty
time of
generic.
ball saving. Yeah. As defensive measures. Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Cool.
That covers a broad swath of the mechanics, I think. And really the objective if we're going the endurance angle, which I kind of like.
hmm I'm thinking of strategy now. So, like, if you had 3 or 4 players, obviously you kind of have to take one on each side. Or if you're doing 3 players, you'd have to decide which side you don't want to be on.
Right.
Um, I think it would be interesting if hmm, the non-shared areas of the pinball table, like where you start out with, where your plunger puts the ball or car or whatever in this case,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if those were unique, so that you could strategize based on like, hey, this is the class of vehicle that you would be using in this position, and this is kind of what your playfield's like, so that it would encourage people to try new things and go to different slots and stuff. Um, Strategy wise, as you have fewer players, you would be forced into determining, okay, so if the first player chooses this vehicle with these skills, strategically, what do you want to use as your retaliation, I guess? What do you want to defend yourself or position yourself as to have a strategic advantage or be able to counter their skills or something like that?
Okay.
So you would have like 4 distinct personalities per se based on whatever slot you decide to play on.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. I get you. This is turning into a class-based multiplayer pinball competitive racing sim,
I
which
mean,
which is
hell
great.
yeah.
Like hell yeah, mishmash. Let's go. Something else that we could introduce here is the concept of dynamic teams too.
Sure.
Like, hey, start a game mode. Suddenly, you are no longer competing with the person across from you, but you two are cooperating to knock out the other team. Or
Oh,
maybe
sure.
maybe it's the person to your right or the person to your left, or maybe it's 3-on-1, or suddenly
Sure.
multi-ball kicks in and it's everybody against one person.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yep, definitely.
Let's see. Some game modes trigger. Let's see, cooperative or trigger
Like
team
maybe
modes.
special
Yeah,
events would cause like a reroll of
team
who's with
mode
who or what kind
events.
of attacking mode it is or whatever.
Teams, multi-ball, all on one, etc.
Oh
Okay.
shit. You can have things like you trigger an event and it's a forced pit stop for everybody and stuff like that.
Sure, like forced defensive reset or something, and that
Right.
everybody's suddenly equaled up, or
Yep.
okay. Of defense. Lol. Okay. Cool. I mean, the rest of these categories really kind of fill in themselves. Like point of view, pinball table, obviously.
Yep.
Audio style, little racing esque stuff.
Yeah,
Sound effects and
honestly. Yeah.
ambiance.
Vehicle noises.
Vehicle noises. Crowd.
Yeah.
Noises. Crowds, etc. Yeah.
Definitely have um announcers and things like that. So pre-recorded voice clips that go
Right.
along with whatever's happening.
Yeah. Crowds, announcers, etc. Graphic style, I'm gonna leave blank. That's kind of
Yeah,
self-explanatory on
yeah.
its own. Wow. Yeah. Man, this sounds cool.
Yeah. No, this is great.
I really wish I had the mechanical wherewithal to make this into an actual table.
I was thinking of like, so if we made an actual table, we'd probably be somewhat limited in how dynamic we can make
Oh
it,
yeah, certainly.
but it would still be cool to have a physical version of it. But if you made an electronic version, you could augment it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you could take actually both approaches. Like you could make the physical table version of it, and it would be fucking amazing because it would be basically like the pinball version of Killer Queen.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Lightning McQueen. Anyway,
Ha.
moving on.
I get it.
But the video version, like, you can have variations on it. You can introduce obviously more special modes and events and things like that because you can literally change the table. So yeah, Yeah. Yeah, you
Mhm.
can have two versions of it, and both would appeal to different crowds. That would be pretty cool.
And then we come to the hardest aspect of this. What the heck do we call it? Hmm.
Hmm.
Like there's a cop out one here, but it's already a title in use by an Atari game, Pole Position. But hmm,
Hmm.
that doesn't seem to sell it very well.
We need something that's like 3 or fewer words, 2 preferably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, a strong action word. Gotta think this one. Um,
What's racing known for? Turning left a whole bunch.
yeah, kind
Well,
of.
that's one kind of racing, right?
Hmm.
Ooh. 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 Shoot, I just had something, but then it left me. It was
Yeah, I know that feel.
it was Formula something.
Formula P.
I don't think it was that, but it was Formula something. Uh, balls to the wall. We've got a suggestion of balls to the wall.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Interesting. Uh, mm,
I mean, pinball puns are great, but we also
yeah,
have to tie
right.
in the whole racing part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm.
And whether it's host names or game names, this is really tough.
Wheels and bearings.
Okay, I don't hate it.
Because bearings, the way
Y-
you turn,
Yeah,
and also balls.
right. Yeah, ball bearings. Yeah, yeah, I get you.
Hmm.
Is there something we can put in there to highlight the competitive aspect of it? Well, ostensibly the racing aspect of it, right?
Right.
Circuit or cup or the bearing circuit, or I don't know. That's stupid. Hmm.
Yeah, that thought crossed my mind, but it didn't really feel strong.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Shit. Why can we rattle off this awesome co-op competitive pinball game design, but we can't think of a damn title for it?
I don't know, something like pit shot. Um, I'm trying to think of things. So the pit lane would imply upgrades and things like that.
Right.
Um,
Checkered flag is popular symbol for it. Finish line.
well, actually, So a red flag would be thrown if there was damage being done and they had to stop the race.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it could be something like red flag rally or something.
Hmm. Okay.
Um,
Well, let's see. There's destruction derbies, right?
right.
That are all about just smashing shit to pieces.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
That kind of takes things away from the racing sim though.
Yeah, it does.
Um,
Hmm.
so far red flag rally is the one that kind of sticks in my head, but I want to do something better.
Crimson Circuit? No. It's got the alliteration going for it, but not much else. Hmm. Something to do with clutch.
Yeah, it could be.
God, see, I'm no good with automotive stuff.
No, it's okay. Clutch victory.
Eh? Okay.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Has some power to it.
flywheel. Flywheels.
Multiple, right?
Yeah.
Implies destruction where the wheels are literally flying around.
And getting air.
Yeah. I don't know. In the absence of anything better, like that's serviceable,
Sure.
I think. Flywheels.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good enough. Damn. That's pretty solid. All right, so yeah, you were right. This was an easy combo. We had to throw some spice in there too, so mission accomplished, I think.
I like being accomplished.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Right?
All right, well, I think we're ready to call that ad hoc design done.
Cool. I'll sign off on that.
None too soon. We're stretching the definition of 2-ish hours for a show.
It's only 10 minutes over.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, cool. Well, that was a very successful round 92 then. Anything else we need to bring to attention here? Otherwise, we can call it a night.
See you in August?
God, that's right. It's July. Shoot. Oh no, summer's almost over. Oh, how dare time move in the way that it does.
Right?
Okay, well, yeah. I think we're good to call round 92 finished here. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us and putting up with our blathering, as always. I am Mr. Bond.
And I'm Tormod.
And we'll leave you with our typical closing track, a remix from Mario Kart Wii entitled Wind in Your Hair by Overclocked University. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.